So I'm here today with Larry Simmons, one of my teammates from the 1971-72 Westfield High School basketball team, which was the primary subject of my recent book, A Ball with No Points. So Larry, let's kind of start in the beginning. I believe prior to your junior year, you had been living and growing up in Newark, probably your whole life. I'm not sure, but what was it like? Growing up there and playing hoops there, and what school did you attend before you moved to Westfield?
Yeah, I was at a boarding school in South Jersey called Croydon Hall. It no longer exists, by the way.
Uh,
It's a real small school, and I think mom and my parents just wanted to get me into a better school situation.
right.
The Newark schools were overcrowded,
Yeah.
tremendously, and they thought that if I got into a situation where I could get a little more hands-on, personal touch type help if I ever needed it,
Yeah.
that would be the type of situation that would work for me. As far as the neighborhood was concerned, everybody was an athlete.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, everybody. I mean, the girls could outrun most of the guys. It was a very competitive environment.
Yeah.
Uh, I had a little basketball hoop in my backyard, and even after I left, it was a place where kids would just kind of walk down the street, come up in the backyard, and start shooting hoops.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and everybody was very competitive. Everybody was competitive. Everybody was an athlete. Now,
Yeah.
I have to say that well, we had tennis players that went on to play in college and high school, like first or second tennis,
Yeah.
and guys that ran cross country that were really good. So, it was just a place where, every day we were doing some kind of balling.
Right. Right. So okay. So your mom was looking for a better situation for you, and now as I recall, I guess you had an aunt living in Westfield at the time. Uh, I guess that was a key connection for you. Were there any other schools or towns that you guys were
No,
looking
no,
into?
it was a situation where my aunt, my mother had informed my aunt that she wasn't going to send me back to the boarding school.
Okay.
And my aunt, who had been a tutor for me, in my junior elementary school years, junior high. And so she knew me pretty well.
Hmm.
And she just said, well, why don't you let him come and go to high school out here in Westfield? And,
Right.
here I've been away from home for 2 years already.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah.
So it wasn't really a stretch for me to leave, you know, and come to Westfield.
Sure.
In fact, I was closer to home
Yeah.
than, I had been.
Right.
So
Right.
for me, it was a pretty easy transition. I also think the fact that I was at that school where I got a chance to be around people from all over the world. There were people from Saudi Arabia there,
Mm.
DC, in New York City, just people from all types of places that helped me kind of, ease into a new environment, when I got to West.
Right. Where was Croydon again? Did you say?
In Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey.
Okay.
So it's like maybe 30 minutes from Asbury Park.
Right. Right. Interesting. So, okay, so you get to Westfield in the fall of your junior year, right? That was your first time
Right.
in the Westfield school system, and I guess you immediately try out for and join the football team, right? As a
Yeah,
junior,
absolutely. I
so,
didn't get a chance to go to the double sessions.
right?
So I
Maybe,
kind of
maybe,
like
maybe lucky for you.
maybe it might have been, yeah, I'm sure. It could have been, but in any case, I had to sit down with Zimmer and Kaler in their office, and they were grilling me on what my skill level was in
Yeah,
football. I was like, yeah, I can run and catch. That's all we
Yeah.
did. We didn't do no tackling, we didn't do no blocking. We played street ball. So there
Yeah.
wasn't nobody doing any. If we could find some grass somewhere, we would tear up somebody's lawn. But in
Right.
general, we were just playing, street ball. So, they tried me in a whole bunch of different positions, and most of them required me to be able to tackle or block, which I couldn't do.
Yeah.
So I ended up,
Did,
in the defensive back area
did you
eventually.
realize like the background of the Westfield football program, like how strong it was when you got there?
Not not before I got there.
Yeah.
I tell you, there was a few guys on the team. When I saw them, I thought they were coaches. I didn't even think they were players. They were like just they were so big. I
Yeah.
was like, whoa, who are these guys, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is who
Right.
we're playing with. Like, okay, yeah, no, it was
Yeah.
it was quite a eye-opening experience to have to be in a situation where you got all these wonderful, great football players, and I just get a chance to sit back and watch because I didn't get a chance to play very
And great
much, but
and great and
you know,
great coaches too.
absolutely great coaches.
Yeah.
I credit my college football career to the coaches that I received, the coaching I received in high school.
Right. Right. So anyway, after football, basketball season comes around, and you and I and Tom Pfeiffer and Steve Lee all were on varsity that year as juniors. Tom had a nice year starting the whole season. I started a few games in the middle of the season. I don't know that you started any, except for maybe that last game where I know you played a lot against that powerhouse Linden team, and we almost pulled off the upset in the state tournament. So that was kind of an interesting year because it was kind of a mediocre team, but what was your sense coming out of that season where we kind of finished on a little bit of an up note? And I don't know if you had even noticed the JV team that year. They obviously had a really good year at 18-4. But what was your feeling like at the end of junior year about the next season?
I was really excited. I was really
Yeah.
excited because I knew that we were going to get a bunch of good players off of that
Yeah.
sophomore team
Right.
coming to be juniors, and I was like, "Yo, we're going to be good." I knew we
Yeah.
were. It was a part of me that just felt like I knew we were going to be good. Now, how good, I don't know,
Yeah.
but I know those guys were really good. So I was really excited about it, and we had, our coach though. We had just got a coach that, we was our first year in our junior year, we had just got a new
Yeah.
coach. So you got a new coach now. You
Yeah.
got a whole bunch of good players coming up. So I was really excited.
Yeah. Yeah. Joe Coleman, you're referring to.
Right, Joe Coleman.
And
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course, as it turned out, only a month or so later, we find out he's leaving after 1 year and going to Scotch Plains, our
Right,
our,
right.
our
But
nemesis.
yeah,
And
yeah. And I was really kind of hurt. I was kind of disappointed. I was
yeah,
shocked. I was, now what do we do? We got all these good players and no coach.
yeah, yeah. So I remember meeting Horn for the first time. It was in June. I was down at Gumbert. I can't remember if I was playing in a league or just a pickup game, but I think someone like Mr. Brewster or Gentino introduced me, pulled me over. He was standing there along the curb, and introduced me to Mr. Horn. But you may not. I'm guessing you probably didn't meet him until after the summer. Is that right?
Probably. I don't recall meeting him that summer, but
Yeah.
didn't they split us all up on like teams and we played like like a summer league or something like that?
Well, there
Guys from
was
all different Union County schools.
there was there definitely was, like, before our junior year, and you probably missed that, but maybe the following year it was maybe the same thing, and
Yeah.
I'm having a little
Yeah, I
trouble.
remember that. I remember
Okay.
that. I remember playing with, guys from, you know, different schools that summer. And it was like a little
But
summer league or
yeah,
something.
yeah. But he wasn't involved in the coaching of that league because
No,
he
I didn't
came
no,
into
I
the
don't think so. I don't think so.
anyway. So fast forward to the fall of senior year now, and so you're playing football again, and probably playing a bigger role on that team now that you're a senior. Although
Not
obviously,
really.
it was another loaded team.
You're right.
Um,
Not really. But it
well,
was good. It was a
yeah.
good experience. It was a good experience.
So so anyway, after that season ends. I remember, basketball tryouts had already begun. So
Yeah.
the football guys, and there were five of you, with you, Pfeiffer, Mark Jackson, Chip Danker, and Greg Allen, finally join practice. But I remember, Horn made you guys like sit and watch two scrimmages and couldn't play. I assume because you weren't quite up to speed on stuff we were running, plays and
Right.
defenses and things like that, and
How
maybe
long how
maybe
long have
getting.
you guys been practicing before we got there?
It
Any
was
idea?
well, we started on the 15th, and I think we were practicing um, a good week and a half. Then you have
Right.
Thanksgiving, and then you
Thanksgiving, right.
guys probably come in the day after Thanksgiving and start to
Right.
just walk through
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And then the following day we have a scrimmage, which he didn't let you guys play in, and then the following week, scrimmage against Roselle, which he also didn't let you scrimmage, which would have been nice because they were obviously a good team. But
Yeah.
but finally, the last two scrimmages, you and Tom and the other guys were part of. So, now it's only a few days to the start of the season. Were your feelings more or less the same, or your expectations now that you had a little taste of the new guys?
Yeah, I don't think I had lost any of my optimism about our capabilities.
Yeah,
I know in that last scrimmage against Columbia,
yeah,
we played well.
yeah,
Timmy really, kind of to me, he kind of showed who he was or what he was capable of.
yeah.
Um, I don't remember anything about my play that day. So I mean, in terms of shot, any made baskets or
Yeah.
rebounds or anything like that. I told you my biggest disappointment was my best friend, who was a starting guard on the Columbia basketball team, couldn't play because somebody had poked him in his eye a couple
Yeah.
of days before our game.
Right.
And here it is. I'm telling you, this guy and I used to go around looking for two-on-two play games, so we could just take people out. And we had gone like a long time before we lost. We lost to his older brother, who was like 4 years older, and his
Yeah.
older brother had another guy who was about the same age as he was. And that was the only loss I can actually remember we had. But we were really, really tight. We were 4 days apart in age. We lived right around the corner from each other. They wouldn't even let us play on the same team together because we would
Right.
just be that's such a dynamic
You,
duo. They would split us up when we
you,
were doing our pickup games. And he was a really good athlete. He was a tennis player. He played, like, I think he was either first or second tennis at Columbia.
and you still stay in touch with this guy?
Oh yeah, yeah. Now that I'm retired and he's kind of retired,
Yeah.
he became a judge. So he was in
Really?
Washington doing stuff down there. At the appellate level.
Wow.
So he couldn't deal with no peon like me. you know. But now that he's retired, we've got back in contact. And in fact, I sent him the book, right?
Oh
I
yeah.
kind of told him. I think I kind of told him what was going on, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. You guys won a state championship. Oh wow." Send me the book and my brother. He wanted me to send. I had to send him
Yeah.
and his brother a book, right?
Uh-huh.
And then he loved it. He said it was great. He was going to live vicariously through me.
Yeah.
Our
Right.
state championship. Really cool dude. Really, really good guy. Really
Yeah.
good
That's it.
guy.
That's interesting. So anyway, so you finally get into the season. So over the course of the season, I mean, what was your what do you remember most about the way Horn ran practices? Were there any particular drills that you remember or practices? I mean, we did all sorts of stuff, and
We did.
you know,
We did the dribbling drills. That
yeah.
was like, that was something I really
Well,
probably needed a lot of work on.
you mean like half going half court or full court 1-on-1 dribbling against
Well,
the defender?
that and just being able to cross over,
Yeah.
back and forth, up and down the court.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the defensive side of the practices more
Yeah.
than even the offensive side, because I really felt like I could be very effective there, yeah, and
Yeah.
it was always so well organized. I think that was the main thing. It was just like 15
Yeah.
minutes on this and 20 minutes. I mean, he had it broken
Oh,
down in
yeah.
such a way, man, that was like,
Well,
almost surgical.
well, yeah, I mean, uh, you can tell from those practice notes which we were really lucky that he saved those all the years. So, included a few of those in the book, and they were really kind of enlightening just to see
Yeah.
all the different things we worked on and how he had them broken down into 5, 10,
Mhm.
and 15-minute intervals
Yeah. It was
and every single
precision.
practice planned out. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was precision. Let me tell you, it
Yeah.
was definitely precision.
So
And
he planned everything and he was thorough. He made sure we covered like every
every
kind of game situation,
every aspect.
end of game situations, and
Yep.
then things specific to our next opponents,
Yep.
that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
I particularly remember a lot of the, when we had the out of bounds plays. We
Yeah.
had these out of bounds plays that were just, very unique, and we worked on those, on a
Yeah.
regular basis,
Well,
and
I remember some like, end of game or end of half situation, like, 4 seconds left and you have the ball at half court. What do you
mm,
do? He had plays set up for that kind of situation. And, it was like the kind of thing that you might need, once during the season, but
right, right,
it would,
exactly.
it
But
would
we were
help.
ready for it. We would have
Yeah.
been ready for it.
Well, I remember one game, the first Jefferson game. It's like really close where there's a minute something, a little over a minute to go, and we basically had the ball out just beyond half court, so in the back court, but near half court. And I was taken in from the sideline, and we set up this play we had worked on, and Scott ended up breaking towards me, but then going the other way towards our basket. And I threw a long baseball pass to him because he got open
You
and everyone else was up
right.
anticipating a closer pass. So that was one of those cases where the practice really made a difference.
Wow. Yeah.
But okay, so and what about the way he coached the games? Obviously, we had a lot of close games, so it sometimes came down to keeping our cool, and I seem to remember him. He certainly never lost his cool during the game, and he probably kept us
It
calm
helped us.
in those last minutes. But
Yeah.
anything else you remember about the way he coached the games or on the sidelines?
Yeah. It was always he's always seemed to have control over what was going on. He was under control the whole time, no matter what the situation, no
Yeah.
matter how close the game was. When he sat us down, there was never a situation where we didn't know what we were going to be going out doing next. It
Yeah.
wasn't like there was no hesitation in his decisions on how we would handle
Yeah.
whatever it was that we were dealing with. He had all clear. He was clear about this is what we're going to do,
Yeah.
and probably in almost every case, I'm sure we had already practiced it, so it wasn't like we were completely, it was new to us. It was just something we had to execute.
Right. So I mean, one game in particular, I think where that came into play was the first Jefferson game. So remember how we would practice the motion offense, but usually he'd save it for certain times of the game, certain situations. But this game, he had a start in the motion offense. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't remember. I didn't remember that.
And in fact, the very first play of the game, because we have the tape, and we won the tap, which was great. We actually won all the taps that first game somehow.
Yeah,
Uh,
really.
and we go right into it, and we're going through about four times through,
Right.
and then I cut off the screen, and Willie Hobson is trailing me across the lane, and you just dump the ball right into me, right in the lane, and I catch it and I make a 3-foot bank shot before Watson realizes I'm there. So
Wow.
it actually worked. It actually worked perfectly the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And so that was a good example of that. And then another was that game. You probably don't remember this, but the day before, Warren said, okay, that he announced that I was going to bring the ball up against pressure, and that's not something I would have guessed. And of course, I looked over to Tim to get his reaction. I don't think he was really thrilled with that, but I think Horn was just figuring, Tim might get caught up in a personal battle uh,
Right. The person
with
defending him.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
with Monty Jones,
Yeah.
and because
Okay.
they had two quick guards that uh,
Yeah, they did.
he but so that was another thing that was unique to that game. But
But
what
I
do you
think, I think what he recognized about you is you had a really good handle. He was comfortable with your dribbling
yeah,
skills or your handle. So um I don't think it was a I mean, I don't think it was really a hard decision on his part to try to,
yeah,
because he knew you could, you would turn them each time, you'd bring it down and make them, turn them.
yeah,
And all you want to do is get it over half court. Once we got it over half court,
yeah,
we were into our thing.
right, right. The but what do you remember about I mean, that environment was pretty crazy that day. I
Oh,
mean,
oh,
the small gym, but
yeah,
it was packed. I mean, it was
yeah,
lined, and they were boisterous. I mean, what I
yeah,
remember is just uh, right before I think right before the game started, maybe even during the game, whenever we had a timeout, they were just shouting
yeah,
right behind us in our huddle, just like
yeah.
screaming and
Listen,
stuff. It was
I had a guy, lean over our bench and tell me, "Hey, you're supposed to be the superstar of the team. You're supposed to be scoring all the points. So come you ain't scoring no points, right? It was something like that, right?
yeah,
I'm the black kid, so I'm supposed to be the super guy, right? So I
yeah,
just pointed up at the scoreboard, right? I ain't say nothing. I just pointed at the scoreboard, right? Left it alone. But
yeah.
yeah, it was really chaotic in there, man. It was really, really chaotic. And on our way, I remember when we were leaving the court, they were trying to kick me. They were kicking me, and I almost think they might have been swinging. I don't know, but I know I had to
Yeah.
jump over some legs that would come flying at me, man. That was a
Yeah.
crazy,
Well, I
crazy.
remember I remember I was at the end of the gym near our locker room, so I was off the court really quickly when that game
Yeah.
ended. But and then then they were somebody broke the windshield on our bus.
Oh
So
yeah.
it was a pretty
It was. It
pretty
was.
rowdy place, but
It
it was
was. It was.
definitely
They
worth
did.
it.
They deserved to lose after beat the beat. They deserved to lose
Yeah.
after they violated our bus like that. That was terrible. That was really
Yeah.
terrible.
But I mean, we had a lot of memorable games. I mean, any other points in the season that stick out in your
Yeah.
mind?
Yeah. Our first Cranford game, that was
Oh
like
yeah, the
that
ball.
for me. That was like an unbelievable situation. Having
Yeah,
got there against them when they were ranked pretty high, also. And then I remember at the end of the first half, I think Hobby was trying to shoot a ball, get the last shot, and I blocked it, right?
okay,
And
yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's
Well,
that was
it
exciting.
was you're right. They were like the highest scoring team in the county, and I think they were averaging like 78 points a game coming into that game. And the weirdest thing was that it was 20, we were up 20 to 14 and a half. So it was really low scoring. We're up by 6, and no one could ever have predicted the second
Yeah,
half.
what happened?
but that was the ultimate blowout for winning
Yeah,
by
that
40.
was, and and for you guys to know those guys, like I mean,
Uh,
they were
uh,
nobody to me. They were just another team. But for you guys to have played against those guys for years, to be able to walk out of that gym with a beat down like that, I don't know, man. I wouldn't have been surprised they never spoke to you guys again. I mean,
well, I think they used it as fuel for revenge. So
that's yeah,
you
that's probably
know,
what happened.
it
Yeah,
I'm sure they weren't feeling too good that night, but they took a positive out of it. You
yeah.
know, it turned out later. But yeah, so yeah, that was a big
That was
win.
one of my. That was the one. That's
Oh,
one of the games that I remember the best. You
but
know, I don't remember the 22 rebound game that much.
yeah, I think that was
It was a
Colonia. I think
yeah,
where we won in overtime. I mean, that was
yes,
I mean, you were definitely definitely one of the heroes that game. I mean, that and the four steals. I mean, we pulled that game out of our butts,
yeah. I guess
along
so.
with
Yep.
some other. I mean, it was one of several fourth quarter comebacks we had, comeback wins, and but 22 rebounds. That I'm sure that was high for the year for our team, and that was just
Yeah,
that
and
was huge.
I guess I was just the right place at the right time. It wasn't like we were doing
Well,
anything extra special. They had
well,
they had a
they
couple
had a
of
really
big
big
guys,
front.
right?
They had a big front line, so
Yeah,
we needed the rebounds, and
yeah.
I had a good game then, scoring 18 points, but I fouled out right at the end, which was it was the only game I fouled out of
Wow.
my
Okay.
I think my whole career, but
Really, you didn't
that wasn't
foul out your junior year at all?
no.
Wow.
But I may have found out at the very end of the second Linden game with a couple seconds left,
Okay.
but no, I it was not easy watching the game the end of the game from the bench, but especially when we're down four in the last 30 seconds, but we saw we pull it out. Oh
So
man, that
wait a
was
minute. You fouled out during regulation of that
oh
game?
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
you
it was
didn't even play
about
any overtime?
a minute left. Yeah,
Wow.
about a minute
So who
left.
was in? Steve Lee or
No,
Mike? Do you know?
Mike Cooney was in, yeah, because yeah, no, he ended up being involved in one of the plays at the end. I'd have to go back and read the last few seconds, but you know, uh, Nova had somebody had a steal. Well, we somehow you know got got it to within two, and then yeah, then Scott knocked the ball away. We were pressing, got it to hit Tim, and he hit a bank shot to tie it up with 16 seconds left. But then we fouled them. They had a shot to go ahead. I think we had a lane violation, so they got a second shot. They missed that one. I mean, we were dodging bullets left and right.
Wow.
And then Pfeiffer got fouled with 2 seconds to go. He had a shot to win it in regulation, and he missed.
Mm,
So, but then we kind of blew him out in overtime. So that was
okay.
a good ending, at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That was an interesting game. I don't
yeah, I
remember
mean,
too
we
much
could. I
about
mean,
that one.
that was a good example of our balance
Hmm.
really coming through. Because I mean, without those 22 rebounds, I can't imagine we would have come back in that game. We just
Yeah. Well,
yeah, we're at their
I
place.
think overtime helped me get to 22. I might have been in high
Well, maybe,
numbers.
but you had the four steals too. I mean,
Yeah.
when I was reading some of the newspaper accounts, it was there were several big plays that helped us down
Okay.
the stretch there. So
Okay.
that was a big one. And then of course Jefferson came right after that, and then Cranford. That was like Cranford and Scotch Plains. That those 2 weeks, man, we were clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah. We sure were.
And,
We sure were.
um,
Uh,
so um, you know, uh, what we get to the end. We ended up winning the whole thing. what kind of surprise, did anything surprise you, or what was the thing that surprised you most about the success we had and how things went over the course of the season? Or was it just was it just
You
a
know,
progression of things?
I
Right.
really just, once we got to 15-0, and then um, you know, got past Jefferson the second time,
Yeah.
I was like, the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
We just kept winning, and it was,
Yeah.
it kind of got like, I don't want to say it normal, but it would have been really odd for us to lose, to feel, to walk out
Yeah.
of a gym losing a game, because we really kind of had figured it out, it seemed like,
Yeah,
or
no, that's a good way of putting it. I mean, it did seem like to me the second loss our second loss to Linden in the county tournament was kind of devastating because
yeah,
we basically were ahead the whole game. We had already beaten them before, and that would have put us in the finals against Jefferson, which we wanted to do again. But once we lost that, it was like, it was almost like we had blown, to me, it felt like we had almost blown the whole season. And now you have the only thing you have left is the state tournament. And we knew that was going to be hard. And you're playing, all good teams again.
mm-hmm.
But fortunately, you know, we beat Cranford for a second time. And then the second win against Jefferson was really huge. And it was,
Yeah. I enjoyed the Piscataway game. Like, that was a fun game.
Parsippany. Yeah,
Parsippany. Yeah,
yeah.
that
Well,
was a fun
that was
game.
a good way to ease into the tournament. We beat them by 40. I think
Now, were
they
they? What were they our first round
yeah,
team? Yeah.
yeah. That was
Okay.
first round, and they
We had
had
Cranford after that.
then Cranford, and then Jefferson.
Then Jefferson. Okay.
Yeah, and then then we had two teams that we knew less about, but obviously
Right.
they had great records. And
What do you think Jefferson was thinking after we beat Parsippany Hills by 40? When because they were
oh
so
well,
well. I mean, so we played Cranford after Parsippany.
yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so I guess
yeah,
they were just
but
like, okay,
Jefferson had beaten Cranford, twice. They beat them both
okay.
times, and they beat Linden 5 times that season. I
I
don't know if you
know
knew
that
that.
was unbelievable. I did. I was unbelievable. They
Yeah,
had two
two
years,
regular
regular
season,
season,
two
and then
regular
the
season,
state tournament and the
Christmas
junior
tournament,
county tournament.
county
Now, what
tournament,
was the fifth time? A Christmas tournament or
Christmas
something?
tournament. Yeah, every every possible way you could lose to them, they lost.
We should have got them to play
But
them. we,
but that just shows you how. So they beat those teams, and they beat Roselle twice.
yeah, wow.
Roselle only lost two
Right.
games earlier. So
That's only two games they lost?
yeah,
Wow.
Roselle lost two games, both to Jefferson.
Wow.
Jefferson
Wow.
lost just two games, both to us.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was really our the feather in our cap that year.
So
Um,
wait a minute. If you do you know who Jefferson played? I know they played Linden for the finals, right? For this Union
uh,
County tournament.
for the county,
Because
yeah, yeah.
right, but they must have played what, Roselle, the game before that?
No, no, no. Wait a minute. That's a good question. Oh, wait, that's a good question. Yeah, Roselle would have been in the county tournament, right? They had to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
All right. So
absolutely.
let's see. So what happened there? Or did they beat Roselle in the? Oh no, they must have played Linden in the. Oh, they must have beaten Roselle in the semis.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, they
Right.
had to.
They beat them in the semis, and that was the semis we
Yeah,
lost to Linden. Yeah,
yeah, because since we were seeded first, Jefferson was seeded second, Roselle. That they had to play each other in the semis.
right. There you go.
Yeah,
That's
so
what I
look
think.
at so they can you imagine they beat them twice and they
That's
beat
amazing.
Linden 5 times. So and I think they beat one other really good team
Yeah, I
somewhere.
think so too. Yeah, from
But
another
so they had
Newark, maybe a Newark school or something like
yeah,
that. They,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they played they played tough schedule.
Yeah,
Can
he
you imagine
did.
that? Can you imagine if we had to beat Linden 5 times? That wouldn't have been easy.
No,
No,
that would not have been easy. But
no.
we had a tough game at our place when
Oh
we beat
yeah,
them.
yeah,
That was a rough
absolutely.
game.
Yeah, I mean they were playing. They seemed every bit as tough as Jefferson to us. I mean, maybe they didn't have the Watson in the middle, the big guy in the middle, but
Mhm.
other than that, they were tough,
They were. They had pretty
and
much every weapon.
we had played against those guys all through junior high. I mean, several of them. So and they had good coaching,
Okay, yeah.
but
Okay.
yeah, we were. Well, it's too bad we didn't get to play them in the counties, but thank God we did get the rematch in the states, and it worked out the way it did. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
and of
I,
course,
no. That's the only way I would have wanted to play them. I would not have wanted to play them in the counties. I really did. I
oh
mean,
really?
it would have been
Ah,
nice. It'd have been
yeah,
nice to, to win the county tournament, but I don't
yeah.
know. You know what they say about you playing a team 3 times. It's really kind of tough to beat a team 3 times.
Oh,
You can beat
yeah,
them twice, but usually
yeah,
the 3 times is really not something that
yeah,
the bet the odds makers really give you much of a shot with. So I'm glad we only
yeah,
had to play them twice.
yeah. It was a fitting ending, I think, and of
It
course
was fun,
you
man.
hit the four big foul shots,
Yeah,
which
that was,
was definitely one of the highlights of the season for sure.
I was thinking earlier today, you know how when you're a kid and you're playing in your yard
Yeah,
and you go through these scenarios where it's the last you want to take the last shot and you go
yeah,
like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and you shoot it
yeah.
and try to make it. I don't think we ever did that at the foul line. I mean, I don't
All
believe
right.
there was ever a
Okay.
case where we were in the yard playing,
Yeah.
okay, we're gonna shoot foul shots to win the game. That's just not how we play. We
Yeah.
play
Right.
hit the jumper to win the
Yeah.
game, not
Right.
shoot foul shots. So it was just really weird, man. It really weird. And I can't even imagine what I was thinking. I can't, I question Horn all the time. I'm like, what the hell were you doing? Why was I still in the game? I mean, I'm the worst shooter on the team, probably,
Yeah, but you
right?
know what? We needed the rebounds at the end. I mean, remember if you remember after uh we went ahead by one
Mhm.
or maybe we went ahead by three at one point, but it was one near the end. They have the ball and Willie Hobson takes a shot from the left corner and I'm running out to try and defend the shot. And if he makes it, they go ahead by one. There's about 9 seconds left when he takes the shot. And I remember turning around and just seeing the ball graze the rim and came down. And I believe you got in a jump ball with Porter or one of their forwards
Mm.
and or Beasley. And you won that jump ball, tipping it to Scott. So
Okay.
on the circle, this is right at their
Yeah.
foul line. And just
Okay.
think about it. If they had won that tap, they're gonna have a jump shot right away, a chance with 6 seconds left. When and so we needed that tap and we got it. And then
Yeah.
Scott made one of two foul shots. Actually, when he gets fouled, maybe there's only 2 seconds left. I think maybe the jump ball happened with 4 seconds to go. But
Mm.
yeah, that was huge. I mean, so I think
Yeah.
that's why he had you in. We needed defense and rebounding.
I
We
guess,
needed everything.
I was like numb and I don't even know, I was just standing there trying to remember what coach had told me like a couple of days ago about how to shoot the ball and how to hold the ball and just put it up, bend your knees, a little, and
Yeah,
and I was just trying to mimic what he, who was showing me and what I had done, and somehow it worked out,
yeah.
man. I really, it was,
Oh yeah,
you know, I, I'm just, the whole situation for me personally, just kind of coming out of nowhere, to join you guys who obviously been playing together a long time, and I'm just stuck in here, and I mean, you know, with some athletic ability, but really no team concept per se, in the sense
mm,
that I didn't play on a lot of teams. Like in
yeah,
junior high, we didn't really have I didn't have a team situation. We didn't play. We played
Right.
like maybe intramurals a little bit or something
Yeah.
like that. But it really wasn't like a ninth grade team or well, I did play at the Croydon Hall my freshman year on the freshman team, and I think I played my sophomore year, and maybe on the varsity, but not really. I was on the team, but I didn't get a lot of playing time. But I was playing every day. I'm playing with these guys every day, so it gave me a chance to really develop a little bit. Not much of an offensive game, but a little bit of a basketball game. Just
Yeah.
defending and rebounding and just knowing, kind of having the footwork. The coach was pretty good there. I guess he kind of showed me some things. So when I got to Westfield, Horn didn't have to start from scratch with me. He kind of sensed that, all
Yeah.
right, this guy knows a little bit about the game. But yeah, no, it was for me. It's just like, it's kind of a dream come true because when you're a kid, this is what you do. You sit around and junior high, you want to win the state championship in basketball or football or
Yeah.
whatever. And, quite frankly, in the neighborhood I grew up in, I was the biggest kid, right? I mean,
Right.
everybody was the same age or around the same age, 1 or 2 years, but I was the biggest kid, right? I had the size, I had some degree of mobility, and you know, if there was anybody,
you had the afro too. That was
right, but if there was anybody to come out of the neighborhood that might have been able to achieve something as outstanding as a state championship basketball, that would have, I would have felt like I was me. I would have
yeah.
been the most likely person. The other guys were very athletic, but they just weren't big.
Right.
They were,
Yeah.
5'9", maybe at the tallest. And I was always head and shoulders taller than all my peers. We
Right.
got
Right.
pictures of me standing with the guys and they like hitting me in my
Well,
shoulder.
well, I think but in retrospect, you fit in perfectly because we needed an extra defender, an extra athletic body. Yeah, I mean, it turned out our defense and our rebounding was our most reliable
Yeah.
thing game
Yeah.
in and game out. Even if we have bad offensive games, we always had the rebounding defense going for us.
And that was a credit to the coach. He
Yeah.
had us buy into defense. Defense is that's a commitment.
Yeah.
You got to really want to play defense. And
Yeah.
he got us to buy into it, and I think that, like you said, that made a big difference in a lot of the situations, a lot of the games we were in.
For
But
sure.
as far as this champ, I'll tell you the irony about the team season for me is I was the leading scorer in the game against what was it? JP Stevens or who? No, that was
Howard?
Johnson Regional.
Oh.
First game was against Johnson Regional.
Oh no,
So
first game was
Berkeley High,
Governor Livingston, which is Berkeley High
Governor
School.
Livingston,
Yeah.
right? So Scott and I were the leading scorers, right? He had
Okay.
10, I had 10. I
Hey.
don't know how I got 10, but I got 10. And
Right.
then the irony is in the championship game, I scored 1 point. So it's like I was the leading scorer at the beginning of the season,
Yeah.
and then I was like the lowest scorer in the
Wow.
championship. But it all worked out,
Yeah.
so it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Tim kind of went in the other direction. He had 1 point that first game and fouled out. It was like the worst possible debut he could make as a varsity
Wow.
player, but it
Yeah.
worked out in the end. That's
Yeah.
just the way
Yeah.
it goes sometimes. But what do you so obviously we had the great championship victory when all was said and done. And did it take a certain amount of time after that for you to realize kind of what we had accomplished? I mean, we're just teenagers and sometimes you don't really realize the significance, but when the years go by, did it mean more after a certain amount of time? Or
Yeah, it definitely did. At the end of that game, I was really kind of down, because I
yeah,
knew we played terrible.
yeah,
And
I remember that too.
we were certainly jeopardized our number one ranking in the state. Not that I think I was really thinking about that, but
Yeah,
I just thought about how terrible we played, and it was just like we kind of pulled it out. And I would have wanted us to play the type of game that we were capable of playing. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Just
yeah,
really, as we go into the tournament ranked number one in the state,
yeah,
right? We didn't play like the #1 team in the state, and that did bother me a little bit. And I just remember what you said. Tom told you, won't nobody remember how we played.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
it's true. I felt the same way as you. We had just nearly blown the game. We played sloppily, so we couldn't have made a good impression on any of the newspaper guys, the guys doing the rankings.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
we had a big lead early in the second quarter, up 14 points a couple times, and it just went downhill from there. Just started throwing the ball away. It was
Yeah,
unfortunate, but
I thought it
that's
was I thought it was a court. I felt like we were on a bigger court than we were used to being on,
well, I
and I
think
think that
we were, but the weird thing is the game before against Hackensack, same
right,
court,
same
we
court.
actually had a low turnover game then, and we had our best foul shooting game of the season. we, well, I think we were 12 for 15, if I remember. So we shot 80% against Hackensack.
Wow,
And then
wow.
we lay that egg the following game. So it's hard to blame it on the game, but you're
On the
right.
court,
It clearly was a different different
yeah, it
environment,
was the
but it couldn't
environment.
have,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
hard to blame it on that though.
yeah.
But
I don't know. I just can't imagine why we would just start throwing the ball away like that. It was just like, you
yeah,
know, it just didn't. It was just really weird, man. How many
yeah.
turnovers was it? Like
Um,
34 or
it's,
something?
uh, it was somewhere between 32 and 34. The paper said 34. I only counted 32 on the film, but there was about a minute of film that was missing. So I suppose there could have been two more in there.
Yeah,
And
somewhere.
yeah, it's bad, a turnover a
Yeah,
minute.
no. After it's, I think that and the fact that the guys that came after us, they didn't win the championship, which I really thought that was just a given.
But
And then we had, then so many years goes by and there's nobody wins the championship. And in fact, they had good. The Spuds team was good with Boo
yeah,
and them. They were good. They were good teams. And so for us to end up being the only ones to win a championship, it really just started making it just
yeah,
became more and more a
yeah,
meaning.
yeah, it definitely took some time. Oh, yeah, the more time that passed, the more you realize that, okay, what we did stands out. And but you're right, the 73 team came close and had the talent to do it again, but breaks have to go your way.
Yeah,
A
a
couple
little bit.
guys were a little sick. Who knows if that made the difference, but it couldn't have made it any easier for sure
No, yeah. I know.
against Speedway.
One of the things I think I told you was Weequahic was a Group 3 school our senior year, and then that was the only
Oh,
time. Now, I grew up in Newark,
right,
so
right.
I know who's Group 4, who's not, right? Who's Group 3, Group 4,
Yeah,
and most of the high schools in Newark, because they're so big, they were always Group 4.
yeah,
But for some reason that year, the student population wasn't
yeah,
large enough for them to be counted as a Group 4 school.
yeah,
So we didn't have to play those guys. And I had seen those
yeah.
guys play, and they had some really. Grimsley was on that team.
So they were good our senior year. How did they
Yeah.
finish in group three? Did they
Well,
play East Orange or
they they beat East Orange in the Essex County tournament,
okay
but East Orange beat them in
in
the
the states?
state final sectional.
In the state final sectionals. I got it.
Yep,
Sectional
yep.
finals. Yeah.
And that's how East Orange got down to
Oh,
Princeton.
that makes sense. Yeah, they would have
Yep,
beat them in the sectional finals. Yeah.
yep,
Okay.
yep, yep.
Got it.
So, and
So
I went to
yeah,
elementary school with a couple of those guys
right,
from week.
right.
So,
Well, anything what so last thing here, what did you like about the book, and did it bring back any particular memories that maybe you had forgotten all those years?
oh my God, most of that stuff I didn't remember, honestly. Um, but I'm gonna tell you that was, you know, it was a really good experience reading the book because it did bring back
Hmm.
some things that you just didn't realize. I didn't realize only won we won like 5 or 6 games by 1 or 2 points. It was
Yeah.
just a victory. And I didn't know all the details about how we got to that place.
Mhm.
Um, I remember fouling out of the first Cranford game, fouling out at the second Cranford game. I
Yeah.
think I might have even fouled out one other game. I think I might have fouled out like 3 games that
I
year.
think you may have. I think you fouled out against Roseville Catholic. Um,
Right. So I'm
uh,
saying I think it was 3 games that I fouled out in
yeah.
that year, but there were 2 of them were against Cranford.
Oh, really?
Uh,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
So
Oh, the third Cranford game in the States.
in the States, I fouled
Yes,
out.
that's right. I
Yeah,
remember you were in foul trouble then. Yeah.
yeah, I fouled
Yep.
out that game. So
Okay.
just the book just, it was just refreshing, really. It was kind of
Yeah.
refreshing just to kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
go
I
back
mean, it's
over
kind
that.
of like there were when I researched things that there were certain things I had forgotten, but then you read about one thing, one play, and then it triggers memories of
A whole
another
bunch of things.
related play or something else that happened that game.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but all right. Well, anyway, that was thanks for
You
taking the
think,
time today.
you think we covered everything? You think we covered it pretty good?
I don't
Because
know. Is there anything I forgot?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I I don't know. I just there was something in the book about, or something, somebody, it might have been in the book, that to suggest that I was the one that opened up the champagne. Did
Oh, no, no, I don't think I said that. I know, the rumor has it was that it was Tim's bottle. It came out of his bag, but it just appeared out of nowhere as far as I knew, and we were all trying to get it open. But I think it was Scott that was ultimately successful. But
Okay, that's what it was.
you
Yeah,
know,
and, it was interesting how exciting those 2 guys were after winning. I mean, they were
yeah.
far more excited about it than I was, and you probably
Well,
too.
Well, yeah, Scott. I mean, Scott really did have a really good game. I mean, 20, 20, 15 points and 20 rebounds in a really low scoring game. I mean,
Yeah,
thank
that's
God,
amazing.
thank God for him that game.
Yeah, yeah.
But
He made the difference.
yeah, I mean, and I think Tim was like, "Well, hey, we just won the states. We're supposed to celebrate, you know."
Yeah, yeah, right. Exactly,
But
exactly.
well, it was
I've
it's
been
not every day you get to pop champagne in a high school locker room. So
that's right. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
and
I don't know. I don't think I'd ever been in a situation like that before. Where
no,
we won a big championship game. Not
no,
junior high or high.
it
That
was
was
new to
like
all of us. It
yeah,
just it was just too bad the way we did it was like it
yeah,
was it was a downer the way we did it.
yeah.
But
It's
you really had to be excited because it could have turned out the other way. And
absolutely. I mean,
yeah,
the banner doesn't tell you how bad you played. you
yeah.
know?
So no, Tom was right. I mean, what he told me, I never forgot that, and I knew when he was telling me he was right that
Yeah, yeah. He was absolutely
the
right.
the thing we'll remember is the season, not
Mhm.
the
How
last
bad
game
we,
in
yeah,
particular.
the
I mean,
last game.
you remember that too, but the season was the real accomplishment.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
all right. Well, you know, it's been a good walk down memory lane, and
Yes.